Hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the LCS and the LCS waiting room ahead of our next weekend of LCS Lock and Play. We're lucky to have Spawn joining us. Always a pleasure to have you, my friend. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm glad we got you. I'm glad we were able to secure you on the show today. I did hear, kind of through the grapevine, a little bit of a debacle. Almost didn't get you on the show today. You care to explain why?
What happened?
Unfortunately, I had a little bit of a mishap with my passport, Raz, which no longer seems to be functioning.
Why is it
all that
ripped
well.
up?
Yeah, I'm worried that so much paper is coming out of the passport.
You're not going back to
Can you
Australia
just let me
anytime
know
soon.
if I can get on a plane with this?
No, you can't! Like, every airport I've been to are like, you need a new passport because there's like slight wire.
Do not S this. There's I don't know what the word.
What is
So-
that supposed to say?
What happened?
So what happened? So we have a lot of good staff at Team Liquid, and some of them help do like just clean up the apartments and things like that. Unfortunately, I left my passport in a pair of my jeans.
Yeah, I would have imagined.
Which subsequently went through the washer and dryer. So I think I need a renewal.
Do you still have your visa page? Are you about to get deported? What's going on?
That's what I took out
Okay.
because they were very careful to be like, do not have any of your personal
Yeah, we're not going to
documents on
flip
the
this towards
broadcast.
camera or anything like that, but my
yeah.
goodness, this is a shell of an identity right here.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, we're glad you were able to make it into the building today. We're lucky to have you to help lend some insight to kind of that first look at teams here in 2022. I think you know the rules, having seen the first week of the lock-in tournament, what LCS Waiting Room is. We basically just key into the conversations that are kind of already happening in the community, and we're going to use community comments to get ourselves started. So first up, Delta Raven here says C9 is looking decent. They're top 4 for sure. But we need to see how they do against 100 Thieves. If they win, that means a lot. EG, on the other hand, looks the most solid of any of the lock-in teams. So where does everybody stand on this? Because Cloud9 has yet to have their, quote-unquote, toughest test in 100 Thieves yet, but they are the undefeated team in Group A.
So one thing about both C9 and 100 Thieves is they have the same strength of schedule.
True.
Which is something that actually I think not a lot of people have been pointing out, or at least people have been pointing out the strength of schedule when it comes to C9, but not 100 Thieves. And so since they did drop that game to FlyQuest, I do think even with that loss, this is the biggest test for both teams. But something I did want to bring up was they've had the exact same strength of schedule. So today's match means a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, a little unsurprising just because if you have a team of Sven, Blabber, right, they still do have core pieces. I mean, the fact that Sven's going to have the chance to play in lock-ins goes a long way for people, to ask the same question, like, he's not going to be on an LCS roster or like a major regions roster next year, right? Or like, depending on how things go. And I mean, he started off incredibly strong, same with Blabber and Fudge, up with a lot of expectations how he was able to perform mid.
And I just want to champion kind of the two other players on Cloud9 a little bit because Darshan, obviously returning to the LCS stage, had a really good showing. A lot of people wouldn't be keeping up with Academy, but he's been, a very solid, if not top 3, top laner in Academy for a while.
Yes.
And Isles, their support, who a lot of people wouldn't have known, obviously played 1 year of OPL, came over, played Academy for Cloud9, and this guy's a genuine prodigy. Like, he is really, really good from that position. And I just think overall, the Cloud9 roster is very balanced. They know their roles, they've bought into the system, and if this is a look to come of how flexible and adaptable Cloud9 will be, this could actually be a really great year for the organization.
Right, especially when you consider, too, the shoes that he's filling in for, right? Vulcan. And that's kind of that second piece of that tweet where the mention of EG saying, like, yeah, they're already decided as one of the best. And that's definitely what it feels like when you look at Group B. But EG, the team to pick up Vulcan and get that, kind of boon to their roster.
And what I would say is when you build a roster, it's all about identity. And I think that EG did a really great job of building an aggressive roster. And Vulcan's obviously bought into that role. And he looks like a stud already.
Now, what you're seeing here on your screens is the different possible scenarios in terms of what can happen as a result of the way that the games go today. So if Cloud9 is to win that game against 100 Thieves, boom, they secure first in Group A. 100 Thieves are either second or third then because of that dropped game to FlyQuest pending some other results. Of course, if 100 Thieves wins, they're going to secure first because they'll be tied in the record, but winning the head-to-head against Cloud9. Cloud9 would then secure second place in Group A. So just a little bit of thoughts about what could happen today.
Yep, it's a matchup we're all watching out for, and it's similar to the players. Like hearing from Blabber just after his wins, like he said, yeah, they weren't challenged up until this point, but they were looking forward to the 100 Thieves match, even with the loss versus FlyQuest. And we're going to be seeing, I would imagine, a rejuvenated 100 Thieves after that loss. It's a bit of a wake-up.
Yeah, I don't so much want to read into the loss necessarily itself against FlyQuest, but I do just kind of want to get it out there that that's a surprise.
Yeah.
Again, we came into this year going 100 Thieves, retaining their roster. They're one of the favorites. They're the team to look at. We blew past that game looking at this C9 game to go, okay, that's where we'll figure out whether or not they really are the team to beat. But they've already been beat by FlyQuest.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's a single game. I'll say that. So, like, let's keep that in mind. It's a best of one. However, I want to give credit to FlyQuest because I thought they looked really bad in their first day, like really, really bad. Very
This is how you give credit to teams?
Very disjointed. Look, I'm getting there. Okay?
They sucked.
They were, yeah.
TLA's coming next spawn.
All right, they recovered on the second day. They looked much more well coordinated. They looked like a team. And so to have that kind of transformation, actually with such a short turnaround time, I thought was really impressive considering what we've said about the old FlyQuest roster was that individual pieces, fine, but they never got it together.
And that's where I wanted to go. I think a lot of people have disagreeing opinions on FlyQuest and Immortals and where these teams sit in the table.
Yeah.
I think, like, as an analyst, you're either like all in on one or the other, and like these are like one of these two teams could potentially upset like the top 5 of the LCS and make that run. And to Emily's point, I think what happened on day one is like anyone that had backed them really panicked like hard because they just did not look cohesive and they didn't look together as a group. And I think the impressive thing about the 100 Thieves win is whilst 100 Thieves were not proactive, you still have to take a game off a team as good as 100 Thieves. If you just let them scale, FBI, Abadage, they're going to be able to close out a game against you. But FlyQuest did play the game correctly, and that lends itself to the fact that they could be a good team.
Yeah, and a lot of credit for me watching that game to Aframu. I thought Aframu played incredibly well throughout it. Kind of goes to show the bottom 3 of the map for that team being Takui, Aframu, and Johnson. I think if they're going to be playing as consistently as they did in that one game, but I would say even in their bad losses, like the first 10 minutes of the game, it felt like they had a coherent idea of how they wanted to play the map, which is far better than how I imagined FlyQuest last year. So still, lock-ins really early on, but at least they have a trajectory.
I mean, from my perspective, it's quite a statement if you look like a team, for the first time in a game against a team that is lauded as being greater than the sum of its parts, right? 100 Thieves for so long, at least through the summer split of last year, was like, wow, this is a team that is on the same page, operates well together. So for FlyQuest to be able to stack up against them, I'd say it's impressive. Would like to see that growth continue. Next up, we're going to move right along. The topic teaser for this is going to come courtesy of Hotline League, Travis Gafford and Mark Z. But they had Revenge and Gilhoto on the show. There was some good back and forth banter, lots of fun. You love to see that kind of stuff happening in the community. So kind of ripped straight from Hotline League, but we've got a comment here as well. It was very funny to hear Gilhoto become fully serious to Revenge. He was 100% right, and it reminded me that Revenge is still young as a player. I believe we do have a clip, so I want to dive into that. We'll come out of it. We'll talk about it for just a bit.
Here we go.
Revenge is here. Revenge, where are you calling from?
From the bottom of Group B.
I'm calling from the trenches of Group B in Lock-in. Yeah, it's really nice. It's cozy down here, honestly. Like, I mean, I think I'm getting used to it. It's feeling good. I have a serious one. Okay. How has it been
to destroy the Nexus? You kind of need to learn that, actually.
No. Shit. All right. No. You know what? Honestly, it's fine. We haven't versed TL yet. He can talk all the shit he wants, but it'll just make it feel better when we shit on them. Like, that's all. Either way, like, I honestly, the funniest thing, I don't even care. All our losses do not matter, but beating TL will be the juiciest thing. Like, that's the only thing that matters right now.
Next time you play against us, you can already play without pressure, right? Because like first week you're already out of lock-in.
Oh, I mean, dude, it's true. There's no
pressure. Just do your best,
There's no pressure. No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Andre, I'm a bit disappointed, man. I thought going to TL, your analysis and coaching would improve, but I mean,
yes, it would improve too. But
Oh, okay. No, let me
How
ask
can you
that.
do this? How can you keep talking shit when you're literally losing to CLG and Dignitas? XU beat
Wait,
you.
what?
So Revenge, comfortable down there in the trenches.
It's a war zone.
As he said. It is a war zone, man. No one's safe here on the LCS in 2022. I mean, I love that banter. I don't know if I agree with the sentiment that all the losses don't matter as long as you beat TL. But
It's how sweet it tastes
each
going up
their
against
own.
and beating TL. That's what it matters.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But no, I enjoy the shit talking. We need a resurgence of it, right?
Yeah,
On
we do.
Twitter, on social, or at least like on shows like Travis's Hotline League, anything like it, because it keeps the business going. So need more of that.
And like, let's not sugarcoat it. It is personal. When you have a coach that leaves a roster to then go coach another roster, and Revenge would have felt like he was like starting his LCS career very fortunately under Andre and was probably learning a lot. He probably does want to go out there and beat this guy. And I
Right.
think that I've had this relationship with players as well. When FBI left my team in Oceania to go to Bombers, and then he won the finals against us the next split to go to MSI, we sat down, we had a meal
You
together.
haven't spoken to him since.
We sat down, had a meal together afterwards, and he let me know a couple of times that I didn't renew his contract. And I was like, okay, that is fair enough. Like, you came fourth with me twice, you let me down. But yes, technically
love
you
that.
did beat me now, and like, I probably have to eat that.
He brings out that you didn't renew my contract.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
I love that. Who paid for the bill?
I don't know, maybe Victor owes me a couple of meals right now.
Champion mentality right there. I mean, exactly.
I would have
think
been alpha if he paid for the meal, actually, though, because
That
if
would've been
if we went out to dinner afterwards and he was like, "Don't worry, this one's on me," like, I don't know if you could recover that ego-wise.
Well, speaking of your history and kind of the saga of being a coach, we wanted to key into the work that you've done with TLA. So, jumping off of a tweet you made, I'm incredibly proud of the TLA boys. The goal Steve set for me when I joined Team Liquid was give them a squad that was next man up and ready to compete. And so far, when called, we have sent 4 people to the LCS and all have done this job. First of all, I love the way that this is worded. And I do have to wonder, and I just want to kind of confirm that, like, is that the language that was used in that discussion around what the goals were for TLA?
Yeah, absolutely. When I came to Team Liquid, like, a couple of things happened. So we had just gone through a finals run where we didn't have the strongest academy roster, and going into like a finals week, as everyone that has worked on a team would know, is you rely really heavily on your second unit. And we felt like Cloud9 and TSM had this advantage that they had really good second units, and we necessarily didn't have that second unit to be able to push the main squad. So that was the first thing. And then the other thing is we knew that, in a world with COVID, in a world with everything else happening, there was going to be circumstances when academy players needed to be able to play LCS.
Yes.
And I was really challenged and given a job that when that happens, they need to be able to go out there and perform well. So we created, the squad as a 10-man team. We wanted to play very similar styles of League of Legends, but still have individual strengths. And when players went up to the LCS, they were able to come across and show that. We scrimmed a lot against the team last year. We're scrimming against the team again this year. And it just feels great. As someone that's been on Team Liquid and going through this process, I feel like we've really built a solid team.
Yeah, you mentioned those 4 players. I mean, one right now who's starting as a top laner, Jenkins, right now for CLG, right? So, like, that is, it is a long-term growth of being able to work in academy, work on your points, and then now being seen as a viable top LCS product.
And I want to point out that, when we put the team together last year, a lot of people were like, why did you invest into Jenkins? This guy's been hard stuck academy for 3 years. Like, what do you see in him? But he had just gone to China, played on the Super Server, got Challenger, went to Korea, boot camped, got Challenger, was able to join the squad twice at international boot camps and did a really great job. And I think when he filled in for Alfari, did an admirable job in very tough circumstances. The stress on that guy was insane last year. And now seeing him get picked up by CLG, having, a little bit of a rough start, he'll bring it back. But he's one of those players that I just believe so much in and will be able to go to that next level.
Can I ask you this? Is it tough that success, essentially, in your position means that you will essentially have to say goodbye to the player that you're working so closely with to eventually send them on to, say, a starting LCS position to get traded to another team, now to fulfill, that next level of play. But boom, that means you succeeded, you two as a group succeeded enough that you don't get to work with them anymore.
Yeah, in some ways, but at the same time, I always say to everyone in academy, your job is to make LCS or be a competitor for LCS. So my job as a coach to get to a level where if I wanted to, I could coach LCS. If I wanted to stay in academy, I can do that as well. Your job as a top laner, Jenkins, is to get to the LCS level. And that means eventually we're going to have to part ways. Whether I send Ayla to the LCS team right now, I'm not coaching him. You know, maybe eventually he'll come back. But I do think that as an academy coach, you have to be able to build these relationships that pushes the players to the next level. It's not about team success necessarily, although that is great. It's about getting the individual to the level that they want to be at.
Talk to me about just how this year is going in terms of the TLA to TL relationship. Obviously, we know that Bjergsen just had, well, we know that Bjergsen, right, just had his own little stint in academy, but we've also just forever heard the tales of Bjergsen and his work ethic, getting to work alongside him and have him work alongside your other academy players. Just lay it on me. 2022, what's it been like?
Yeah, well, I mean, credit to Bjerg, because this is a guy that's had COVID. He's publicly come out and said that he's been trying to get back into playing. He said that he was at about 60%. We thought we were going to have Harry here for week 1, and then some complications with Harry in Oceania meant that he couldn't get on the plane. And Bjerg straight away was like, I'll play. Like, that's not an issue at all. Obviously, that creates some issues with scrims and stuff for the LCS team, if you know the schedule, but this is a guy that's always been willing to have that mentality of he will do what it takes to be a great teammate and winning. And that's been the incredible thing that I've been showing the academy team so far is Whippo has a winning mindset. Bjergsen has a winning mindset. Hans's mindset is like next to, like, he's insane actually as a player. And it's been so great for me as the academy coach to be able to point towards these veterans on the LCS team and show like the lengths they will go to be successful.
It's interesting, like how infectious it is.
Yeah.
Because with Core JJ, you know, in off-season, you would have these off-season tournaments and all of these things. Ayla goes back to Oceania, does the exact same thing. Like, it never feels like there's an off switch in terms of how much work you're putting in. So it's definitely something you can tell that the academy players are putting in. In fact, I remember back when I was in academy, like Darshan's greatest thing that he would always say about Jenkins, of course, now with CLG, is that he always grinded 1v1 so he knows the matchups.
Yeah, for sure.
Like all the time, like the best person he would talk to kind of know the matchups would be Jenkins, just because he would like practice how many of them. So that goes to show the work ethic they have behind the scenes.
So I'm totally kind of extrapolating and moving beyond the scope of the discussion that we're having right now, but I'm kind of intrigued at the topic of what do you feel as a coach is maybe the thing that the LCS slash the ecosystem here in North America is missing the most in terms of the competitiveness? Is it a mindset thing of players? Is it a structural thing or an approach to practice? Is it a resources thing? Like, where do you feel there's still the most investment to be made in leveling up the League of Legends scene?
I actually think last year was a great year for North America. And what I will say by that is that I think that the new academy system, especially in Split 2, where we went to best of 2s, played more games, you know, going from 9 to 36 games is such a jump up. And then having amateur also compete showed how kind of equal the playing field was. And then there was also a lot of opportunity for academy teams to scrim LCS teams within this system. And then we also had an OK Worlds run. And I think what that gave everyone was a lot more confidence. All of a sudden, GMs are willing to invest in these academy players. Academy teams are way more likely to take opportunities on bringing role swapping people, bringing them up. And I think it's just flattened out the ecosystem. Sure, there is still a ceiling to punch through because we have great imports coming into the region. But I do think that teams are now way more willing to take risks. And we're seeing it in people like Ayla, Isles, you know, the Fudge lane swap. Ryoma had a really good week last week. I just think a ton of players are playing much better on the LCS stage now.
And one thing I'm glad you pointed out is how much having a good academy and amateur system not only helps in terms of like matriculation, but also the main team scrimming. Like, right, we've talked about how Kendi and Tenacity went with 100 Thieves to Worlds for that purpose. Older like Korean teams would actually bring their sister team to Worlds so that they would be able to like scrim against them constantly. And one thing I think the LCS had last year that I credit a lot to the work that academy and amateur teams did is because I would look at those games and they'd be trying out all sorts of different strategies that I didn't necessarily always see on the LCS stage, or I'd always see them taking those risks in academy first. And it was really cool to see that come up. And then also to see so many teams have different actual play styles from team to team to team. So you could see where it came from, okay, they took this from their academy team or something within that org they then brought that to LCS, and it was different for multiple teams across the board.
Yeah, and I can give you a real example. When Gwen came out, she was busted. But TLA, like, our job was to just leave Gwen open every single game, and Jenkins was trying to find out what the counter to Gwen was. So and I think Jenkins then showed on the LCS stage that at the start he was willing to play Gangplank and a Kali into Gwen, and he had a couple of really good games when it first happened. So things like that Emily's talking about is like really real and tangible right now.
The next step, I would say, for Academy, because it's really important to celebrate the wins. I agree. Last year was great.
Especially winning, that was great.
Winning helps.
Yeah.
It always helps.
But I think the next step is just a lot of Academy's teams still only have like, one head coach. They don't really have much of a staff to work with players, especially in Academy and in Amateur, which really requires heavy coaching on fundamentals and just like general things to get people
So you
ready.
want two-headed coaches.
There we go, two coaches
Going
with
forward.
one coach with two heads. But no, just like two-way player coach, someone who works with the main team. Just like I think a larger staff for Academy is definitely needed if you want to put more support in it.
Well, it's cool to see what comes out of the lab and how those Academy teams and the systems continue to develop, build, and support the LCS ecosystem. From here, we're going to dive into our first match. So let's roll that opening and dig into our first matchup of the day. Welcome to the LCS lock-in tournament for the final day of the group stage. That's right, today we're going to say goodbye to 2 of the 10 teams as we fill in our bracket here for the lock-in tournament. Let's take a look at our standings, though, and remember how the teams fell and stacked up coming out of week 1. It was Cloud9 and Evil Geniuses who topped both of their groups at 3-0, but plenty of teams right behind them, Team Liquid and 100 Thieves, to name the 2 most competitive of them all. But we've got plenty of important matchups coming your way today. Starting things off with Dignitas QNTMPAY and CLG kicking off our day. I kind of want to dive straight into matchups. Obviously, we've already put a spotlight on that second match of the day, 100 Thieves and Cloud9 as the decider for Group A and who will top it. But I do not want to ignore the one that we're kicking things off with. And so when it comes to Dignitas and CLG, one big announcement, and I think it's got to come out first. It's River.
He's here.
He's
He is here,
He's
and he will
playing.
be stepping on to the LCS stage today.
So I don't know how much time he's had to practice with the team, but to give
Probably
an
zero.
overview, I was gonna say, to give an overview of River, he is really impressed at the past few events he's been to with PSG Talon. It's gonna come up in this role, but he had this really amazing Talon game, yes, where they took like triple TP. It was great. We haven't seen Talon yet. In the LCS, Raz and I were arguing about it in the green room of whether it's good, good or not. But I think there are certain compositions you could play with Talon. I think I do see him a little bit more as a facilitator for the team. So once he gets better lane communication with Dignitas is going to be really important to their overall success.
Yeah, and for me, for River, it's always been about the fact that he has a pretty damn good understanding of just the map state. When I was watching him back in the PCS, it's just, for the most part, when they were dominant, it was taking the game slowly, having a large lead, and just snowballing it, right? And when XU came in, he was fast-paced. He was constantly scrapping and fighting, and it made the games a lot more kind of flippy. Don't expect that for River. I expect the games to kind of be, if they get a lead through blue, or through Neo, just to kind of play through that and play a lot more slow and steady. That's
What I will say, however, is that's kind of the PCS, formerly LMS region as a whole, and then they send these players to the LPL and they start playing like absolutely crazy people. So there is a chance that River does come out here, play things like Lee Sin and his Talon, and can speed up the game. I know that just PCS as a region has been as slow as like kind of Korea historically on the international stage, so it might not necessarily be a player trait, but like a region trait there.
River as an individual, obviously someone to get excited about. CLG as a whole, though, I think something to get excited about. For a couple of years now, we have been asking, or questioning rather, whether or not that org, is making the right moves to find success. And this year, they double, triple down on a new strategy, brought in a whole new lineup, right? And, whether or not they're going to be the #1 team in the LCS left to be decided. But I'm pretty excited about what they've shown us already, Spawn.
Yeah, and I don't think whether fans were asking or questioning is the right way to put it. I think they were telling the org like pretty directly at some point.
Do something or else.
Yeah, but I think that this is a really exciting lineup. And for me, it's because they took like the best players from a lot of the roles in Academy and gave them that shot. And I think the way they did it is really intelligent because they also took an Academy coaching staff and they've kind of galvanized the team. And when you bring a team together, making it them and us is a really great way to form like instant bonds. And now it's like, go out there and prove it. And I think every single Academy player is also looking at this team and like, yeah, guys, go out there and prove it. So I think that they have a lot of internal support behind them, pushing it forward. People like Luger, Jenkins, these guys all really deserve shots. You look at Poom and kind of like the rap that he got from the 100 Thieves first time around, definitely deserves another shot. Contracts definitely deserves another shot. So I am just incredibly happy with how they put together this roster. And I personally want to see them succeed.
Now, that said, in building the roster, or in building rosters, rather, a lot of times we look to try and identify who is that core member, who's the person that is the linchpin.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that
100%.
all right? Because I think from a star power perspective, most people would think contracts, right? At least he is the name that is probably the most known of the 5 out there. But you're going with Luke.
That bot lane can actually be insane. Like, not only them as a duo, but also the meta right now, like the champions that you're playing. If they can get advantages in 2v2, they can be an incredible bot lane, actually, like contending against the best in the LCS.
Yeah, and as someone that coached against this guy all of last year, he had Kenvi on his team, Tenacity on his team, Ryoma on his team, and you still have to spend like 60, 70% of your fans on the bottom lane, because if there is an AD carry that is dominant, this guy's laning phase is just insanely good. And I think the Poom facilitates that very well. They're on the same page. And when you have a cohesive bottom lane in what is right now a bottom lane dominant meta, you have things like Caitlyn Lux, Jinx running around. He is just really, really good at this style of League of Legends.
And that's why you should expect the drafts for this team as they evolve throughout the year to just kind of center around the bot lane. Because that should be their most consistent part of the map. That being said, talking to some of the players, they have full faith in the mechanics of all of their talent, right? Rightfully so. We've seen them last year, having their game where they were able to take over. Jenkins had his game when he was able to do that. Same can be said for, actually, Contracts had a lot of games. But so like the mechanics is there. It is the team play. It is the coordination. The last time we saw them just last week was a lot of coordination failures. And I'm sure that they've recognized that.
Also had some very wildly different looking drafts, like between their own games, right?
Yes.
And so that's where I wonder too how they hone in on a specific identity in terms of a play style as well. With only a couple minutes to go before game 1, I want to get some predictions out on the table, but maybe in doing so also really briefly hit on the mid lane. This has been an interesting year in which we talk about the mid lane in a lot of ways feeling very open. Yes, we're welcoming back Bjergsen. Yes, we expect him to still be a top competing mid laner in the league. But for players like Palafox, this feels like the season, if ever, to really make a name for yourself. Do you think he can do it, though, in this game here? Dig CLG.
Palafox, Chemtag, Akali.
Chemtag,
Let's
Akali!
go. Let's see it.
There
All
it
right.
is.
Does that bring them the win?
Yeah, sure. No, I actually seriously did pick CLG.
I was like, I don't know if this is a giant thing.
No, I'm not trolling you. I'm sorry. I'm not trolling you.
Okay.
And I actually really do want to see that.
That would be sick.
Palafox. Akali is something we know he plays and is really comfortable.
There we go.
Shows the tech. Rad, what are you thinking?
I was pretty shocked by the actual good play that Dignitas had the last time we rolled around blue. I know XU was a big piece of it, but I think River is actually going to be a good upgrade. And also, their bot lane. I mean, I'm always a fan of Neo as a carry, and I think that he will take over. So I have Dignitas for this one.
Dignitas call with River stepping in. Spawn, you're the tiebreak.
Yeah, I mean, Palafox actually played yesterday against Bjergsen, funnily enough, in Academy, and he looked pretty good. I do think that this CLG team will be much more confident against Dignitas. Dignitas are bringing in a new member as well, and I think jungle at the moment is a very crucial role. So therefore, I'm going to go with CLG. But I am interested to see how River and Blue navigate this first game, because Contracts is really aggressive, and if you give Palafox any edge and you open up that middle of the map, Contracts can just like run over a game really, really quickly, as being pointed out by the desk.
Y'all good there? You recoiled. Looked like you had a bit of response.
Oh no. I mean, I'm.
I
I'm
was
taking it in.
like, oh,
I'm taking
Rad's
it
about to.
in. You know what that is? You know what that is?
What?
It's the chills. Because I'm cold in here.
It's not cold. Are you
It's
cold?
cold.
You always make
Yeah.
it so cold in the studio.
Spawn's comfortable. I'm comfortable. I only got like sweaty palms, man.
freezing.
We could probably lower it a
This
couple
is
degrees.
Don't be nervous.
If
Don't be nervous.
somebody wouldn't mind doing that for me. We're going to work on the AC here in this room, but to kick off the final day of the group stage, we're joining Pastry Time and Jat for our first call of the day. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you very much. My name is Petrie. This is Jet. Welcome back once again to the casting desk, mate. It's nice to have you.
It's good to be back, man. I actually don't remember the exact date that you and I cast together the last time.
Long time
It
ago at this
must have
point.
been sometime in 2020. So I'm really looking forward to being back, especially in studio with the fancy lights, even if we hadn't added like more extra people yet.
Yeah.
But soon enough.
Need about 10, 12 people on the stage. Need maybe a couple
Couple
hundred
hundred,
people in
yeah.
here. That'd be nice.
Mhm.
But, you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. Thankfully, we do have great games here, kicking things off. Last day group stage. So those 8 spots, 2 teams are going to go home at the end of it all as we kick off quarterfinals tomorrow. But Dig versus CLG to start things off.
Yeah, and I agree with the desk. This is a very intriguing matchup. Some specific trends that I'm looking to see from most teams this week is an increased priority on mid lane picks in the 1-2-3. So last week we saw most 1-2-3 picks being jungle, AD carry, and support, and then everything else was falling to 4-5 for the solo laners. But what I've seen, Corki winning a lot of games, and if Corki is gone, Victor winning a lot of games. So depending on how this first phase of bans go, I think if Corki's not banned, my opinion is he should be on a premium just with the length of games. They haven't been particularly snowbally, and once Corki gets to Luden's Manamune spike, he seems to be an incredibly potent poke champion.
Yeah, definitely seeing games be on the slower side, I have to say, to kick things off. So it makes sense that a lot of those high priority scaling mid laners are looking good. You're kind of getting half of your wish, I will say. LeBlanc Kali, the first 2 bans, at least in the next one there for Dig, going to take that one out of the very capable hands of Contracts, as J4 going to be responded to in kind by CLG.
Yeah, and a build that if you were watching LEC, you would have seen a lot of, or if you've just been playing solo queue, is the emergence of this new Chem Tank Akali, where you build the Chem Tank Mythic and you just dominate bruisers and side lanes while still having late game assassination power. So that was within the last week, right? So Akali, I think, has a high chance of being very, very banned this whole weekend.
Yeah, I believe there are changes coming into that, but I don't remember if they've hit live yet or not. But certainly still around in this iteration of the game is Diana. Not a bang we see that often. Definitely a pick that Contract showed up on a lot last year. And definitely a pick that's been played around the world. LEC, of course, loves their Diana jungle, it feels like.
Yeah, and also the Jarvan ban, I feel like, is interesting. That is one of the better frontline junglers that I think pairs very well with the type of Jinx, Aphelios, AD carry meta that we have found ourselves in. But now that we're done with bans, where's the Corki? It's
right there.
It's either first pick
right there.
or it's going to be soon.
Not that one. Different
Yeah,
Godel.
well, if they pick Teemo, then you can just ignore everything I'm saying, but that's a very common hover.
It is actually. We'll see what actually goes in. Hey, look.
There
It's
we go.
Corki. I didn't lie to you all.
Okay. Yeah, and I actually don't. So generally, when a mid laner is first picked like that, it depends how many power picks a team thinks is still in the meta. If there's not that many power picks, you would match the Corki right away, like with the TF, which again is a power pick that I think if a team has high coordination can be extremely broken. I'd be interested to see how the Corki TF matchup plays later in the game. Or you just power pick a jungler and power pick an AD carry. That would be the other option.
Jinx, Thresh, both seem fine here. Probably get Victor on the swing back if Powerfox wants that. Maybe he's got a counter matchup in mind. He was a player-to-play Akali into Victor. He was unfortunately unsuccessful, but I think he's a player that is willing to counter-pick players and play into them. So we'll see what happens here, but I'd be shocked if a bot laner of some kind didn't get locked in here for either Luger or Boom.
Yeah, it should be Jinx.
Yeah.
It is. Jinx was the winningest champion in week 1 of LCS lock-in. And also, I think Jinx and Corki together is broken. So
that's true.
Double whammy. It was good to pick it right there. I think, honestly, both teams have just been power picking so far. Nothing too special. I think an Aphelios should be matched, and then Thresh would be the most potent support if you're not playing a range lane, which isn't as good when Caitlyn is down. So all of this is very standard.
Yep, makes sense to, again, break up Thresh and whoever. Jinx in this case being kind of the best and winningest. AD, as you pointed out. And then digging around things out here. So maybe phase 2 will bring a few more surprises, but as you said, it does feel like after week 1 we have a pretty solid grasp on, how the teams are playing the game, at least right now, because it does seem like the power picks are just very obvious.
Exactly. I mean, Thresh is a champion that was getting first picked a lot last week, so it falling like that makes a lot of sense. The fellow should come in, and then you'd expect either a mid laner or a support to come in here. One of the two is going to get pinched, because notice how Dignitas didn't match jungle, so CLG will have a chance to ban out junglers in the 4-5.
River flexing those muscles. Heard it from Raz. Talon. No,
Big
it's not,
pool.
it's not happening, but he does have a big pool. And I'll be very excited to see him play. XU, I think, as we heard, had a really stellar week as his first, I guess, professionals, not quite. Maybe it's correct. He was an amateur and then came up to Academy and played LCS before that all started. So definitely having a nice debut. But River, of course, the intended veteran here for Dig, one of their big acquisitions for this season. So curious to see him play, of course, on this stage. But as you expected, Jet, junglers are getting pinched. And Olaf, not one we see that often, is going to get taken away here.
Yeah, I do find the Olaf ban a little bit intriguing, especially when I look at players like Santorin last week, who had Trundle as a very potent pick into Xin Zhao. There are actually, even though I think Xin Zhao is probably the default power pick in the jungle, it's not like other junglers can't go into him. So you're really picking your poison here if you're CLG. There's Olaf, there's Trundle, there's Viego, right? There's a lot of junglers that River's going to be able to play, even if CLG devotes bans to it. Dignitas, on the other hand, has the flexibility of, do we try and stop an Enchanter lane, or do we try and take away the hard engage supports? Because both Leona and Nautilus would be open, so they could technically force CLG into a weird or like forced ranged matchup if they wanted to.
Yep.
But they've decided that they'd actually rather have CLG playing more of an engaged style support by getting rid of things like Lulu, which I think Poom and Luger would actually be very good at. So I'm okay with that Lulu ban by Dignitas.
Yeah, definitely. Champion Poom played a couple times in last week. Happy to just kind of sit and support Luger. Makes sense given the pedigree of that player already in the opening week of play. Camille ban means Rakan's locked in, and as you suspected, it is engaged for CLG's support.
I'm actually a little surprised that it's not a, just double checking the bans, not a Nautilus or Leona, because I think
They're
that
both open?
makes a really potent front line. But they have a decent front line with just Xin. Just because of the way his R works against long-range teams, he can ward off a huge amount of damage. So, again, everything does make good sense.
And looks like Tank Gragas once again for Fake God, maybe AP Gragas. We've seen, I think, Kuma busted that out. You have some flexibility there, but Fake God, like, fast becoming a player that, sorry, Fake God becoming a player very endearing to me. Like, obviously understands his role, willing to play weak side, willing to display tanks and eat the 20 CS deficit, and he will show up in the team fights and make it happen when it matters. So Viego going to be the lock in there for River. Could see some very fancy stuff here from his debut. As CLG, probably not going with that one, but yeah, Poom's having some fun.
Yeah, they technically have the counter pick for
that one I
Dignitas
like.
here. Ooh, he gets to play Gwen, which will scale really well in the side lane eventually against Gragas, but it's not going to be particularly dominant in the early laning phase. I'm interested to see how these two team compositions interact. So for Dignitas, I am expecting that to be tank Gragas, just because one, I think it's important to have a real front line with Thresh team comps, and two, they have a huge amount of damage coming from Corki and Aphelios already, so just in terms of setting up well-structured fights, I think that's a really, really good team fighting composition. CLG's side has just a ton of engage. Expect Poom to try and roam a lot. If they can get good flanks off with the TF, then they're just going to hope to snowball through side lanes. The Gwen can make volatile lane matchups, TF can back those up, and that's how they're going to want to play. But if this game gets to, say, 30-35 minutes, and Luger isn't super fed, I'd expect Dignitas to have the advantage in 5v5.
Yeah, Luger feels more like the insurance policy here in this comp. And obviously Jinx is pretty good insurance, as it turns out. But we'll see what happens here. Definitely a bit more proactive from CLG, which you love to see. Very curious to see how Palafox's Twist of Fate looks here. He's often a player that has looked good on things like Silas. He seems to be very good at influencing the side lane if he can get an edge. And I think that is very true for Contracts and Pala as a duo as well. So expect to see some fireworks in the 2v2 if CLG are going to find the success that I think their comp needs to get the ball rolling.
Oh, wow. Palafox with the Predator TF.
All right. Very single-minded.
I mean, the one thing that can do is if Corki tries to shove him in too quickly and Contracts is there for a gank, it is it's basically a way of attempting to neutralize the pushing pressure of Corki, because one thing you specifically want to be able to do against TF is if you can keep him pushed into his turret, it makes him far less threatened. But if Contracts can get river control and the Predator gank can be threatened onto blue, then it would just become even more ridiculous. So I see that kind of as like a win more rune for TF, but it's not going to help him actually unlock himself in lane unless Contracts can have some type of supremacy in the jungle.
Yep, I think, as is often the case, Twisted Fate is pretty much influenced a lot by how proactive your jungle matchup can be. I think Contracts does have the aggressive end of the side, but we'll see what happens here as River gets a bit of help there from Fake God for his first LCS game. See some hardy cat eyes out there in the Twitterverse, which makes sense. They're very excited to see River out there.
Me too. He was actually so dominant on PSG and had a very good international world showing. It's a very intriguing pickup, I feel like, for Team Dignitas. And if Dignitas could actually break into the top 5 with this roster, I feel like it would be extremely impressive just based off of what the team went through last year. I think trying to pull together, I'm trying to use very creative words, like not necessarily a budget roster, but they have to be creative with their spend because they're not at the same investment level as some of the other LCS orgs. So when they can perform, it is almost a little bit of a feat for them. So I think River and Blue both have potential to be extremely high value acquisitions.
Yep.
So I want to see how they perform as the year progresses.
I think in general, there's definitely a lot of players that can play above their pay grade in the LCS, and we'll see a lot of that as the season goes on, as Contracts nice and early level 3, just strolling on by to Blue, saying hello. It's fastest way to the other side of your jungle, so Contracts happy to take the detour.
Yeah, nothing much but some full clearing from River, which is not a bad thing, especially when he's playing towards a Thresh lane. One of the benefits of Thresh is as long as you're playing your cards properly, you're almost always going to have push at level 2 or 3, which means when Scuttle Crab spawns at 315, that bottom crab is completely free for River to take.
All right, we'll see how the push-pull in mid lane goes, but it has been quite a lot of attention here in the 2v2. Bifrost and Neo doing a great job in these early levels, bullying the lane. I think they expected to get an edge on early, and now River actually making his way down here as well. But as you mentioned, it's for that juicy crab that's left here. Yeah,
full clear into Scuttle Crab. He's a full 1 camp ahead of Xin, and what Dig could try and be a little greedier with this, since Blue does have push. They'd have to guess that the top crab wasn't taken yet, but this could have been actually a double crab angle if Fake God would have recalled now and thought about teleporting in, but they're just not thinking about that, and very close to interrupting the recall there by Poom.
Yeah, unfortunately no extra wasted time. Poom gets a bit of a heal for himself, but didn't really have anything else to do, getting shoved in under the tower. Luger keeping the CS up nice and high, but again, it's going to be more about what influence can be brought from other areas of the map here as Contract secures that top crab. I feel like every time I hear a jungler, and you count certainly in this conversation, chat, mention the double crab, it's just like their eyes, I can hear their eyes light up as they say those words. It's just the most magical thing is River is unfortunately going to get the bad news, lost the shellfish.
It's interesting because it actually was, but now I think double crab is a lot less important. There were some off-season changes to make it, the first crab, far less valuable.
It's an NA buff.
Yeah, so I do wonder. Yeah, I do wonder if we're going to see just less priority on Scuttle Crab in general, because I don't know if it's necessarily worth it to commit to double crabs the way it would have been last year.
We'll see how it all shakes out. Palafox losing the trades here to the boss bomb, but it looks like we're just trying to spend some mana here and find a teleport angle perhaps. Palafox charging up towards level 6. Can't be too far away, but he's running a little low on mana without a blue card, so he's gonna just have to chill, and that recall spot is spotted by that very nicely placed ward. This is gonna hurt.
It's gonna be really good for Blue here, because you can interrupt him at the last second. It's at the very least gonna force the TP, and then Blue will have teleport advantage. I also think Blue should do a Hex Drinker game at this point, in which case the poker, the kill threat from Palafox or Jenkins when he's in the sideline like that is going to be a lot lower. But here's a wraparound.
Blue question mark ping there. No Contracts could be here. Flash is up and available. Lantern's nice. Play back. Gonna be okay though. The route into the Chompers is bad news for Neo. But there's Hook in for Bio. Maybe they can get it back on the Contracts, but doesn't take enough damage. River coming up through that, his namesake, looking for the angle. Luger gonna be the target. Flash cleanse ready. Oh, he goes all the way through, and that's gonna be Contracts. First blood over to Neo. Very nicely done.
That was so well played by River.
Tricked me.
Well, it's because there's 3 high health targets coming in, and there's not that many cooldowns left for Team Dignitas, so a lot of times, like as the second jungler to arrive, that's not as much a counter gank when it's that delayed, 5 to 8 seconds. But he knew only one player had burned flash. That's the player he needs to stun because they can actually CC lock him and he can't flash to safety. And once this initial gank isn't fatal, and specifically this hook from Biofrost gets Contracts close enough that he no longer has flash, River says, okay, and like from this point, they're saying actually Contracts is the target because Luber has Flash Cleanse and Rakan not only has Flash but is also slippery. So Flash gets the stun, Firefrost able to get into max play range. Just beautifully done actually by Dignitas there to get the first blood.
Yeah, very nice coordinated. Turns out, you know, it's been maybe a year or two, Bioforce can still play Thresh. Everyone is shocked. But very clean there, coordinating there as a 3v3 to get that first blood on the table. And that is money where they want it to be. Neo, definitely, I mean, you've talked about it. Both Corki and Aphelios can certainly take over the game if it goes late, but getting an advantage early feels even sweeter.
Yeah, so this top lane is in a very good state for Jenkins. He's able to consistently shove in. He still has his teleport. He still has his summoners, which is going to be difficult for COG to actually take advantage of because normally having a top lane push like that will make Rift Herald easier. But there's two other things that are fighting against their ability to take Rift Herald, which would be the fact that their bottom lane doesn't have push that often, and Corki's going to have a good package timing on 8 minutes when the Herald comes up. So Jenkins is basically just splitting farm, even though maybe with a different team comp, they'd be able to take more advantage of that Gwen.
Yeah, you can see though, look, you're going to have to trim that wave. Neo up 10 CS right now, but that will get cut down. And it's definitely not a position Fake God isn't used to at this point. He's born in the weak side. Happy to get pushed in by Jenkins. And he's not even that far behind.
Exactly. It's hard for COG to punish that more just based on the way the map state is right now without being able to control mid or bottom.
See if this Drake's any interest to these players. Ocean is the first one up. Blue buff handed over. Definitely eyeing at TF now for Pally. He's got the boots ready to go. He's got cooldown boots, so he's really trying to maximize the power of his ultimates there alongside the Predator. Does have the most gold, thanks TF for that extra little passive helping out, even though Dig did get the first blood. So has been farming well as well, which is nice. Corki, they're also doing a good job. So as you mentioned in draft chat, it's a lot more about what CLG can do to influence their side lanes here. Palfox is not going to get anything done just wave clearing in mid. He needs to influence another lane.
Yeah, I think the timing is getting there, though. The game is quite close right now. If Dignitas can secure the Rift Herald without TF making impact, I feel like it'll become a much higher win percentage for them. But at the moment, there are areas for Twisted Fate to attack. But as you see, look at this. Double TP as they start the Rift Herald and a package acquisition. And look where Thresh is on the minimap right now. He's already moving up. So this is almost a textbook Herald by Dignitas. I don't think COG can contest this safely.
Yeah, you're going to try and get a kill instead here, but going to need a tough one with the package. In fact, it's impossible. Contracts.
That helps. If they immediately turn for Rift Herald, they might have a chance, but they actually don't know exactly what the health is. So yeah, Rift Herald's gone.
Yeah, Biofrost playing bodyguard there, and River's going to take that away. So very nicely done. Blue did have to burn the package after TPing in, but a worthwhile trade of that cooldown.
Yep, good timing on all of their major abilities with double teleport package and also the Thresh roam. So they gave up a little bit of bot lane priority, but as you can see, plates haven't even been sacrificed in the bottom lane. So part of that is Thresh, and part of that is just using their cooldowns properly. The eventual cost is they are trading it for a dragon, but I think most teams will take that first Herald over that first Herald.
That was true last year. I imagine that's still true this year as well. As Poom maybe caught out of position. River again looking for the stun. Poom with a nice W away will get out to safety.
Yeah, and there's been almost no threat on Blue this whole time. I think as long as Blue keeps his farm even with Twisted Fate, he's going to be pretty happy. As long as Fate God isn't getting pressured for any dives, he's going to be happy. And as long as Neo and Biofrost can make it through that entire flash cooldown for Neo without getting ganked by Twisted Fate, they're happy. So it's only a 400 gold, 1 kill lead, but I think Dignitas, I said the word a lot, but right now they should be happy.
Yep, very comfy. As Palfox and Poom looking to group up together. It is nice to see CLG, you know, stay proactive. Things are starting to break up a little bit. Yes, the turrets are still up. You want to get those plates. The objectives are off the map right now, but, you know, Rakan, Twisted Fate, and Jinzao, they're champions. You want to get out somewhere else.
Yep.
You know, they don't just want to chill farming for the whole game, whereas Corki's just happy to vibe all game, man.
Exactly.
He'll be here for 30 minutes.
Right now, there is some setup from COG. If you look at the bot river, they have 3 wards, and there's no vision from Dignitas. Unfortunately for COG, those aren't control wards, so they don't know that TF would be able to fog there without being seen. But since you have the Everfrost and the cooldown boots right now from Palafox, his pattern should be shoving the wave and then just sitting in the river bush, because if he does that, then Team Dignitas can't push in the bottom lane safely.
Yep, because the timing is making its way there. Palafox red cards the wave, instantly shoves it out, and where are we going?
Yeah.
Jenkins
So
perhaps the target.
He just fogs.
Yep.
So I would hope that he's fogging bot side, so he fogged top. Now he's going bottom. No one saw him this entire time, by the way. So he's been off the map for 15 seconds. So Biofrost and Neo now have to say, well, hold on, TF is missing. We can't do anything at the moment. As soon as he shows in wave again, that's when the bottom lane would be allowed to go back in, but they're actually going for Poom.
Yeah, actually roaming up here as well. Poom did a nice job actually covering and maybe sweeping some wards for Palafox to make sure he could stay hidden, but nothing eventuates there as the teams realize what's happening around mid lane here and everyone's just trading vision.
It's the minigame. Now it's all about river control. Who wins that 3v3 or 4v4? Because Dignitas has enough brute force strength right here, since COG didn't do anything with their pressure. Dig retakes river, and now the next wave, Palafox won't be able to threat nearly as hard.
Yep, Rift Herald drops, so plates are going to get donated over. Good bit of money in the hands of Dig. Happy to just cash in the Herald for the plates you try and get. As Poom, once again, alongside Contracts, is trying to make it happen, but Dignitas playing with a lot of respect. And of note, top laners can't join, not just because of the TP chains. They don't even have teleport, even if they wanted to. And it was 2021 as bottom side. Here we go, Palafox gonna get the flash on a Neo Flame Choppers there. Frost, that's so much DC! Neo turns it back around, but it's not enough, as Palafox will get the kill.
Oh, River really wants to get something back, but he can't quite make it. I really want to see that replay and show where Twisted Fate ported from and why he's so annoying to play against as a bot lane AD carry. But we have more cooldowns.
Again, River the target here. Viego not all that tanky right now. Does take the lantern out to safety. Nicely done there from Dig.
So all said and done, couple of flashes burned on both sides, and the kill goes over to Palafox. But wasn't worth it, because that's now 3.5 plates over to blue, and the scaling is going to be advantageous. But I also have to say, like, the way COG wins is if they can get that bot gap going, and they just haven't been able to do so far. So I think it's a strike that COG had to take.
Yep, definitely where we expected their attention to go. So we'll see it again here, as you asked.
So, like, the Herald is right there, but if Palafox just moves there, it's also on top of ward. That's the range of TF ult. So this is a max range TF ult. You just have to be barely outside the lane, and you can threaten the bot wave, which is obnoxious.
Yeah.
When Thresh isn't there to save with Lantern.
It's rank 1 ulti too, for everyone playing at home. So only gets worse as the map opens up more. As we'll check in here in the top side. Jenkins has completed Riftmaker. He's feeling good. Vibe in there in the top lane. Definitely saw Blue farm up those plates. He's feeling good, getting the items going. But Palafox is going to get some return plates. So starting to feel like this Twist of Fate, who is going RFC second, which is very telling for what the game plan is for CLG.
Yeah, it's just pick and move, pick and move.
Oh, I love this. On we go, Everfrost in. Poom with the knock-up there. Blue a little low, but not dead just yet. One more card, not enough.
But what this means is Blue is at very low resources for the upcoming Dragon, and if there's any other type of play COG can make beforehand... Okay.
Good aim from Luger. Not enough, though. As you mentioned, though, has to go back. 20 seconds till that Dragon is up. CLG already set up for it.
Doesn't have his teleport up yet. Also note, now that it's past 14 minutes, he can teleport anywhere instead of just towards turrets.
He's unleashed.
Yeah, Unleashed Teleport, I think is the name. Is the original teleport just called Teleport?
I think so.
Not Leashed Teleport?
No, I mean,
they could have done it one of two ways. They could have been either one's unleashed, one's leashed, but this makes it feel more powerful, I assume, even though it's just nerfed before 14 minutes.
It's like a time-gated dog park. After 14 minutes, everyone's off. All right, River here, starting this Dragon that was digged. Do you want to try and claim this objective? Keep that out of the hands of CLG's Snowball.
They were able to get this because of the package timing from Blue, so even though they forced his teleport back, forced him back to base and he didn't have teleport, he picked up the package, got the extra movement speed, and now they're just back to siege in mid.
Contracts going for a good hook though from Bifrost into the box, and that may be a fatal mistake. Ulti ticking away there from Zim, but that's still enough for the turret. Well worth it from Dig.
As long as they keep Corki and Aphelios farming up and don't let this Jinx get too strong. So they get the first turret bonus, but that turret is rapidly falling.
Here we go again, canceling some recalls. What a jerk.
Smart man.
Very. Big brain and good hands.
Utility Death Rocket.
Gonna probably get this tower as well. I don't think Fake God can hold it. Does have ulti if he wants to maybe try and use it to clear the wave, but I think Dig will just take the trade. They're getting second herald here. Ooh, going for the kill instead. Was looking to get one more kill. Faker with a very nice quick ulti, but it's not enough. Boom, bouncy engaged. Everfrost into the chompers. You're to CC'd forever. See you next game, because you still CC'd as Luger gets Fake God.
Nicely done. Palafox finds another roam timing. It's very, very important that those are also going towards the Jinx. I think Gwen, even though, sure, you could say get the ganks for Gwen, I think Gwen will outscale on her own just by the nature of the champion, and it's the Jinx that they need to get the kills on. Let's see if they get a gank in here, though. Palafox is everywhere.
I love this TP. Little inverted jungle gank. Jenkins the one ganking here. 3v3 soon. Bifrost lances one up at River. Maybe not so lucky. It's Blue, the target they want, though. Neo there. Maybe can turn the damage back around. Jenkins low. River trying to make the play. Gets the possession of the soul. Takes out Jenkins, and it's a 1-for-1.
Whew. Spicy when he comes in with that teleport. I understand that Dig was trying to get more of the gold onto Corki, but a good comeback there by Palafox, who now with the RFC, the Predator, and a pretty low cooldown on that ultimate, is going to continue to try and punish Dig anytime they move forward in the side lane.
Contract's eating damage there. Gale Force done for both these ADs. So Neo definitely equipped for a scuffle, but Luger feeling good with the extra money from the kill and the assist, although Neo does have one as well alongside his death. Fake God here going to clear this wave. Palafox finally looking to leave this tower, I think. Maybe not. Just chill. Wait for your ulti to come back off cooldown. CLG know what cooldowns they need to wait before, but already Palafox ulti cooling right off here. It's almost done.
It's only a 107-second cooldown. It feels like he's been everywhere, though, because he used it, then about a minute later he teleported, and then now he's threatening to be able to move up again. From the side lane, as long as they're pushing in mid, don't expect too much for him at the moment, but if he shoves that next wave in, they're going to have a move timing to go wherever they want. They just push Fake God right off the turret.
Yep, Fake God is forced all the way back behind the tier 2. CLG are going to break this tower here in top lane. Looks like the counter push is coming through for Dig. Jenkins going to have to be a bit careful. He's in a 2v1 right now, as you can see, but he's clearing the way pretty nicely. River coming in hot, though. Jenkins, can it be okay? Pops the ulti already. Jenkins needs that.
Yeah, there's like 4 people on the way.
Oh, no. All right, Palafox, can he bail him out? 2v4? Actually, he's so far away.
The range is not that far.
Yeah, no, it's not.
5,500.
Well, a long time since that's been the case with Twisted Fate. I think Jenkins going to have to say goodbye to his life and his tower. The W only lasts so long as River nabs himself a kill.
Yeah, that is a move where Jenkins needed to just concede the turret to the Corki because he ends up dying for it as well. And since Palafox was also just resetting, they didn't get anything immediately off of it. But let's see how quickly they can pressure this turret as Dig has to reset as well. If it ends up being a mid for bot turret trade, it's actually pretty even when factoring in the kill.
The Contract's actually made it a little bit faster there, thanks to a bit of Hexgate Gaming. 2v2 in mid lane. Poom on the side though. River also reinforcing. Contract's locked up, snared up by Bifrost's hook, and this just looks terrible on his side. Contract is going to go down as Dig rush through the River in mid.
Very greedy trying to finish that turret.
They got it.
Breaking the mid turret is still very valuable for Twisted Fate, but let's see if they can make it back to control River at all with the Hextech Drake coming up in 45 seconds.
All right, everyone resetting by the looks of things. Not sure what the package status is for Blue, but doesn't have it yet as he clears out this bottom wave. Not quite there on the items yet either. Still looking for the transform on the Manamune, still looking for the item number 2. He's going for Ludens by the looks of things. And Palafox with the extra money.
Yeah.
Already with the Zhonya's finish, so it's just more and more playmaking, right? He's not going Rabadons and trying to carry this game that way. He's just, he knows his job. Just give kills to everyone else.
He's very fed. But the Zhonya's technically gives him the ability to dive in more, but it's interesting. 20 minutes in, I need to see how they can transition this TF pressure now that they've gotten the outer turrets down, because Dig has a really good setup on this Drake, so it's just gone to Dig.
Yep, not going to get this one, not going to get their own blue buff. Neo's going to be the recipient of that one. And CLG are going to just continue splitting the map here. I mean, Jenkins we've seen, he's left in the side lanes, but he's on the weak side right now alongside Fake God as CLG are trying to overload this top half. Blue with the package, can be brazen here, but doesn't want to get too tricky with it.
He got it!
Oh, we got the
blue! Blue.
Does he get extra power?
I wish.
I don't think so. Yeah,
he wishes.
He does.
Names would be very overpowered there.
That's true.
Oh, turret gets more damage.
I named myself Longsword.
Yeah.
Now I do more damage at level 1. as Hex get out there from Luga, getting back out to safety. You can see a lot of these kind of cross-river invades with the map being so more open, which kind of feels fun in a Twisted Fate comp, but CLG again just trying to continue finding a way to pressure the map. It looks like Power Fox is on permanent sideline duty right now, but Biofrost not missing many, as Contracts eats a lot of damage from that rocket poke.
Biofrost is really crucial in this game. One of Thresh's other jobs against Twisted Fate is just to create a large amount of spacing, so wherever he ports in, even if he lands the gold card, you can kind of time it so the guy picks the Lantern as the gold card is flying, and then he's like 2,000 units away by the time it lands, and the TF gank isn't fatal. So really watch to see if Biofrost is able to maintain the right spacing. The problem with that, though, would be when you're creating that space with Thresh, you're not finding yourself in engage angles because you're actually putting yourself up in a disengaged position. So Dig, it then makes it more important that like dragons are their win condition, not necessarily Thresh picks. They're mainly trying to avoid getting picked until they can force these 5v5 fights at probably a Hextech Soul or a big Baron fight. And so far, like even though COG has that 1,000 gold advantage, both teams are attempting to play towards their win conditions.
Yeah, curious to see if CLG want to maybe mix things up. Currently in a 1-3-1 with Power Fox as the other side laner, but I wonder if Twisted Fate could maybe be served alongside Jenkins, who is powering up towards item number 2. He's got a very healthy CS lead. We know Gwen is an absolute menace in the side lane, but CLG, I think, happy with their configuration for now as Poom. That looks aggressive.
Well, they're actually able to play very aggressive right now because they can get push in both side lanes, and because of that, it also gives them the ability to control mid lane. So technically, Team Dignitas would be stronger in a 5v5, but they just can't have 5 people there.
Right.
Because the first person on the wave in bottom lane has been Gwen, and in top lane has been Twisted Fate. So anytime Dig wants to hit that mid turret, the solo laners from COG are missing, so they can't go forward. It's actually a really precarious time in the game for Team Dignitas because they don't have push on either side.
Just like this, River, great buffer. The ulti Everfrost just going to miss as Poom can't find the angle either, but River had to burn everything to get out there.
Pretty good dodge. Just a flash on the ultimate, and they got rid of TF and Rakanal. It makes it safer for Dignitas to retake vision.
Ooh, that'd be such a good pick on a Poom if they can get it. No poke though over the wall, and Poom will get away, but had to flash as well.
And that also gives them a window to get mid push again, which is really beneficial for them.
Yeah, as you said, just trying to force them to a big objective like this Baron. Dig finally get enough priority to get some vision at least.
Yeah, that play failing in the jungle ruined one of COG's Baron tactics. If they would have been able to kill River, they'd have Shove in all the waves. They could have continued to control vision in that blue side jungle and maybe even threaten Baron with either a Gwen TP or Gwen just fogging. So really critical that Dig was able to withstand that, get mid push, retake vision around Baron, because that means in about 30 seconds, it's safe for them to go and take bot River to get set up on the next Drake.
You can see they are getting set up. Neo just barely gets away with the recall there. Does have collected done, building up towards item number 3. Luga with the RFC second, trying to abuse some of that long-range rocket action. As, again, CLG continuing to just play to the Baron side of the map. Poom is busy dodging missiles here in the enemy jungle. Doing a decent job so far. Yeah,
they really want to be able to break this game open with Baron, because if they don't threaten Baron now, getting Baron in trade for Hextech Soul isn't as good.
Yeah.
It generally means that they're going to be in a bad state. So getting a lot of threat on Baron now is important. It doesn't look like they've done it. As the Soul is up in 50 seconds, there's no immediate threat on turrets, and Dig is contesting for mid priority.
Interesting spot. Yeah, I don't think Poom's actually looking for a recall there. Blue also with the package TPing back in, so...
Yeah, they got it. Look at this.
With all this prio now.
And since they're so much stronger in a 5v5, and the side waves aren't pressuring them off that mid wave, the only thing they have to worry about is a Baron sneak, which, by the way, they just used a blue trinket on with 18 seconds left, so now they can safely fall back into River and just take this third Dragon likely uncontested.
Yeah, looks like CLG are just going to play the side lanes here and try and maybe get something traded back, but they're very far away from those tier 2 turrets. So River's going to steal the blue buff again out of CLG's jungle, and this Drake will indeed go uncontested as CLG are just hoping someone is in the other side of the map for some reason. And Fake Gods, he's never going to play up that far. He knows his job.
Yeah, just save the turrets as much as you can and don't put yourself in a position to be dove. Retaking the jungle is pretty important.
Oh my goodness.
Good poke.
Porky, what a champion. Poom comes in with the Hextech Gate. CLG again, like they don't want a 5v5. Jenkins is TPable, but he doesn't really want to join this either. And now it's a 5v4 that Digger looking to start. River trying to find the engage, doesn't nab it. But Baron now on the menu.
Yeah, Jenkins this whole time has been able to push the turret, so he should have some time to get a good chunk here, knowing that everyone on Dignitas just showed to try and retake the jungle. So the way this should play out is as soon as people show to stop Jenkins, COG would then try and retake the river again. I think Jenkins, he had to gamble a little bit there. I think I would have liked to see him play a little bit more aggressively and force a response, because doing what he just did just keeps the game in a stalemate, and currently the stalemate definitely benefits Dignitas.
Yeah, as we've said in draft, Dig happy to kind of wait things out, use their very powerful 5v5 as the game gets later, and hey, CLG have not grown this gold lead. Still up 1,000 gold, but they've been up 1,000 gold for about 10 minutes now, it feels like.
Yeah, I feel like 10 minutes ago is when Palafox completed his 3rd item. He's just sitting on the same 3 items and a little baby Aether Wisp, so nothing has really been done to extend that position they were in.
Neo getting a little aggressive, eats some poke, but Biofrost there with the lantern. River actually the one coming back around. Luke with a very nice Gale Force to get away from that stun.
Yeah, they used their turn, but they're not really getting punished for it by CLG at this stage. I think CLG is actually a little bit scattered right now. They had to kind of absorb that engage by Dignitas, but then they didn't create any pressure on the side waves during that. Here's a last hit effort, but it is just a support.
I mean, Palafox has Lich Bane, but that's not enough to kill even Biofrost.
Yeah, that was poor by CLG.
Yeah.
They're in trouble. They're in a lot of trouble right now with only 3 minutes left until a Hextech Soul with a much weaker 5v5 comp, and they don't seem to be able to get the waves in a state where they can find picks on Dig. So it's looking grim, even if the gold is 1,000 up for COG.
Yeah, definitely feels like Dig just getting towards the points they're happy to be at in this game. Blue is going to start farming up an absolute storm with the Tiamat, and of course the splash damage onto champions with the nice little rocket combo is not bad as well. It is funny that it's stayed 3-2 towers this long, because it feels like COG have had side lane supremacy this whole time and haven't been able to get to a tier 2. Palafox looking for River, but the lantern again. River just, he's another game away. He's gone.
Good Thresh play by Biofrost. That's one of the ways Thresh can try and stop TF. Note, though, the Infinity Edge by Luger. He's the first AD carry to IE.
Insurance policy.
That's the backup plan. That's the backup plan. It gives them at least a slight chance in a 5v5, because the split push didn't work. As soon as they hit IE, they think maybe we get the right kind of engagement, we can win a 5v5.
Luger go kill. See if the plan works out here, because it's going to be tough to run at the enemy when Blue is peppering you with rockets, but here we go, contracts in! Boom, looking for the angle of flash, and that's so much damage! Neo is gonna get obliterated there by Palafox, but Luger still needs to kite out the rest of the fight. Jenkins are frontlining, Nazi onto Gwen, the rest of the fight's happening, great disengaged keg out of Faker, but that's the big CLG needed.
Oh man, backup plan, 1 stun, kill him. He has no QSS, no cleanse. Straight to Baron. They kind of have to just go for this. They did poke Dignitas down quite low. They have teleports though, and they have a jungler who can smite and flash.
River's actually got his smite cooling down right now. They don't know that though. It's going to be close. Going to be very close. He's got to back up. He can't go for it, but it is Gwen that secures it. And now River is left out to dry in the Baron pick. Gets the Viego ulti out of there. Pretty good ultimate. But Blue now may be in trouble eating poke on the other side, as River still somehow getting away in contract. This can't get anyone, but CLG, they walk away with what they wanted. They get the Baron.
Huge play right there. You could tell CLG had enough, just group. But they get it with the Lich Bane gold card from Twisted Fate into just having the first AD carry on IE for bigger damage. Not to mention Gwen on those 2 items, if allowed to free hit in a fight, is very effective. But all of this was honestly just like, let's walk around a corner where they can't see us great, and Neo is just slightly mispositioned, right? RFC into stun after Poom had found the initial engage, and they completely blow him up. That is a huge turning point in the game. The question now is, can they use the Baron to get inside track on the 4th Drake?
Yeah, I mean, they're up 1,000 gold for so long. They're now up 3 times that, but now the fight is going to brew once again. Frontline, though, for Faker. They're again CC'd up for a while, but they don't have the damage.
Here they come.
Do they? The stun's coming in. Poom again. Finds the engage and contracts over the top. In onto River, trying to make it happen. Buying time there as Gwen's going to cut River to bits, and Luger finds the final rocket, and Palafox leaping forward out there with the ulti. That's Blue. What a combo. Luger lines up the ulti and shoots down another, and that's 3-0 in favor of CLG.
Wow, they are clutching it out right here. They still had the Infinity Edge difference between AD carries. Neo did not have it for that fight, and they honestly just kind of ran through Dignitas. Really well done there, using the power of Baron, the additional stats they get, and the item power spikes they were just sitting on. I still think they were in a precarious spot in this game, but now 5,000 gold up, they've delayed Soul. They're back into a power position.
Yep, we'll see how powerful in a moment, but certainly the confidence has to be swelling here for Clutch Luger Gaming, as we'll watch this one again.
Yeah, let's look. So it's really just Dignitas trying to hold the river. The Baron minions do make it easier for them to get mid-prio, and Blue does misstep a little bit, right? The fight starts before they want to, and he's packaged out, which tells COG it's time to just go. Fake God getting caught by those Jinx traps really hurts because it means they can't just have a safe retreat while firing missiles. The fight happens too fast.
At it again, Everfrost. River, though, going for it, does have the ulti, but he's actually on the offensive alongside Blue, but they don't find anything back there as CLG still with 30 seconds left here on the Red Bull Baron buff, going to try and shoot down the tower. Should be able to get this tier 2 with no problems, though, but Inhibs are going to stay very healthy here on the Dig side, but I don't know if CLG mind that much. This is such a big swing in the direction the game was headed.
Yeah, they have 16 seconds left on this Baron buff. They'd love to get a significant chunk on one of these turrets if they can. They want them crash at the same time. Jenkins doing his damnedest.
You gonna dive? Something's happening. River looks for a stun, doesn't get it. I mean, the thing went away and I got scared. You know, when the items drop away, sometimes crazy things happen.
Might be a fight. They got a good chunk on to the mid turret, at least, when Dignitas tried to defend the top turret, but now we are in I think we're in a bit of a lull phase unless Dignitas tries something desperate.
Luger's just gonna chill. Needs to get all the minions though, because that is his job as an AD, and is gonna get escorted out safely. Kinda greedy, wanting the rest of that wave, but he does get out just okay. And Baron wears off, CLG back away, and it's time to reset and see what happens. Power Fox only has been everywhere. Oddly, like, the tip of the spear in the 5v5s, which is not how I thought the Twisted Fate was gonna go.
Right? I mean, Lichbane gold card for someone who doesn't have magic resist is like half their health.
Contracts ulti's out, Faker with a nice kick back in with the keg. CLG did in fact stay for more waves. This is a 5v3 right now, because the two side laners who do have teleports are off pushing, but no kills there for Dig is real bad news, because CLG are just taking everything now.
Look at that gold. That was like a plus 800 for Palafox. Those second turrets on the side waves are so valuable. If Palafox gets to death cap before Neo can get magic resist, it doesn't matter if they have a stronger 5v5, because one RFC Lichbane gold card is going to be 80% of his health.
Yeah, it's like 100 Thieves merch drop. As soon as it pops, money just falls out everywhere. Down to the bottom side again, just cleaning up the waves that CLG are pushing in. Now CLG will take a reset for realsies. I do like that they kept the pressure up with their solo laners. And the 1-3-1 still on the table, was a 3-1-1 in that instance, but Luger 4 items and counting. Palafox, I assume, is just heading straight for death cap as fast as he can at this point. Yeah, he's almost full.
No, he's basically got it. He's 20 gold away. Scuttle Crab is spawning right now. That'll give him death cap gold, and he'll recall. And right now, Neo is sitting on 1,400 gold. Does buy the QSS, which helps significantly, not only with the burst, but so he doesn't get CC locked. Problem with that, though, is the actual 5v5, because there's like a 8,000 gold difference, and a Bloodthirster completed on Luger. You have a max item Twisted Fate. I think Jenkins should be moving closer and closer to another item completion now that he's at 322 CS. Even though the champions are slightly stronger for Dig in the 5v5, I think with these items, CLG might just have the upper hand.
Yeah, not there yet. You know, eventually that gold will effectively equalize, but definitely not at that stage right now. CLG can continue to use their gold. This Palafox is trying to set a trap here for anyone. River, though, unperturbed, will look forward for contracts, doesn't find it. Blue still trying to find that poke. Does have the package here. 50 seconds till that dragon is up. It is the soul for Dig if they can get it.
Yeah, it's almost like Fake God has to find an engage of some kind. It's just so difficult to get it onto Luger. Mid priority is very important right now with Baron up in 2 seconds and the potential soul for Dig is up. This game is still winnable for Dig if they can get the right setup for a fight, or if they can just get that soul.
All right, well, CLG definitely feeling like they can 5v5 at this point, but Jenkins is busy with business in the bottom side of the map, but he's forced Faker to hang out with him. I feel like the 4v4 doesn't feel good for Dig right now, but they are looking. Contracts, oh my goodness!
They gotta be able to land more poke like that. No MR on the Xin. No MR on pretty much anyone, and those missiles from the Cork.
Oh my goodness, they're going for it. Power
Just
Fox.
backdoor.
They're going for Fake God, missing the Everfrost. He flashed out of the way, but nothing left there. Under the towers, diving in, they get the kill. Inhib left open, but Baron started now for Dig.
They might just win here because they have 2 people. If they can stop the recalls, watch, boom.
Blue, no, it doesn't get counted. It does move in, but they can go for the dive. Jenkins is sending it. Power Fox looking for the card, doesn't grab the gold fast enough. And now the Nexus towers are dead, but they're not out yet. Is on the other side of my screen. I'm trying to play my play in the world's smallest screen.
Make it bigger.
He's popping up. He's got a double kill. And it's going to be A-OK. The next
over, though.
and it doesn't matter. And CLG just brute force straight through. They'll take the dub here in the first game of the day.
GG, well played by CLG, ending this lock-in group stage at 2-2. It was a testy one, for sure.
Yeah.
They held the gold pretty close the whole time. They had a bit of a stall between, I'd say, 18 and 28 minutes, but when they needed to clutch up, they found the right engages, and then they ended the game with a pretty beautiful play.
Yeah, really cool to see CLG kind of adapt throughout that game and like adjust the game plan on the fly because they had to, right? There was nothing else they could really do. The strategy they wanted to play had been stopped by Dig very successfully, I might add.
Yeah, I think for most of the game, Biofrost was in pretty good spots, keeping any TF ult pretty neutralized. Dig didn't have wave pressure for pretty much the entire mid to late game, right? But if they were moving closer and closer to that soul, you thought maybe the win was in hand. It was actually just a very close game. Well played by CLG.
Yeah, really fun one there for CLG. And with that, we are going to be heading over to the State Farm Analyst Test to break down CLG's win.
Thank you so much, Pastry Time. Definitely well played by CLG to take that one over Dignitas, moving themselves to 2-2 in the lock-in group stage. But I think emphasized by the fact that that first gank looked rather clean by River, and you started to wonder, Raz, like, oh, is this guy stepping off the plane and just ready to run amok in the LCS, you know?
Zero sleep.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Off the plane. He's ready to go for it. Exactly. So I was like, oh, welcome.
He almost did it.
Yes,
Yeah, CLG able to rebound there. Let's talk a little bit about Champion Select real quick, because one of the people we talked about top of day was Palafox in the mid lane, and he jumps for that TF, and immediately that puts some onus on him to be a playmaker for the team.
Yeah, so they touched upon this in cast, but I really love this draft from CLG. I think there are some execution points where it could have been a little quicker. But the way that Palafox did use that TF come like early mid game was very, very good. And they had they did a really good job of paying attention to the side lane pressure that a composition like this with the Gwen and the TF, who you kind of want to be permanently in side lanes, they did pay a lot of attention to that.
Yeah, and the simplest way you put it as a coach is when you're playing with TF, you want the map to be big. You want him to be able to use that global ultimate. When you're playing a 5v5 comp, you want the map to be small. Right. And what Palafox was able to do at certain parts of this game is make the map very large. You look at that last play for the push to the end.
Yeah.
He's in the base with Gwen whilst they're winning a 3v3 on the other side of the map. CLG obviously understand the fundamentals of the comp very well. However, as we said, there were just a couple of little execution points, mainly highlighted by the fact that Poom lost his flash in the mid game, so it made a lot of these plays a lot more difficult.
Yeah, and I think just the last replay kind of exemplified this, and of course it leads into him TPing top lane, being there for the skirmish. When you have a TP, or at least a Twisted Fate, especially when you have TP, but with Twisted Fate, your whole team's a part of the plan. Like, everybody needs to chip in, and if a play is available, because that bot lane TP on towards Gragas, bot lane needs to be all in on that idea and give the heads up as well.
So what pushes Twisted Fate over the edge at the moment? Because when you can make the map big, the champion's already very good. However, at the moment, his item build does excel also in 5v5s. And that's what we saw when champions like Ryze and TF can also 5v5 team fight. They are OP in the current meta. And you can just see pulling gold cards, able to hit members of the fight that are crucial. This one picks off the Aphelios, was just able to set up good 5v5 wins.
We are, in essence, jumping over that 10-minute period that we talked about where it felt like CLG couldn't find the answer, right? And so I guess my question is, was it just a matter of building up the confidence to pull the trigger and actually make the play? Was it a misposition by Dignitas? Where did this breaking point actually, what was it derived out of?
Well, this is the breaking point for Dignitas in this game. I actually think Dig could have, instead of going for the steal, we talked about this off camera, they could have just gone in and gone for that team fight, because I actually think they could have won it. However, in terms of what happened with CLG, I think it's just tightening up, like, okay, we talked about them having side wave pressure. Well, what does that mean for the rest of the map? And like, where are we actually going to execute plays with the pressure that we do have?
Yeah, and I think that whilst we credited CLG for their understanding of how they wanted to play this comp, I do have to question Dignitas in two areas here. One was a steal attempt and not being able to create enough zones in the fight for your Corki to be able to hit. The second one is contesting mid lane priority before a dragon when the enemy team has Baron buff. Very, very hard to get mid lane priority when the enemy team has Baron buff. I think if they had have just gone to the dragon and dared CLG, do you want our mid lane inhibitor or do you want to give up the salt? It could have created a little bit more tension and a better situation for Dignitas.
Especially when you consider that you're the team with the Corki, right? And we know the power of that package on a 4-minute CD alongside a 5-minute cooldown for Drakes. You do have the option to have that up for every single Drake fight and use it to your advantage.
One thing that if I zero in on CLG is say, hey, for the next time if you have a comp like this to make it a lot better, is if you have one timing to give a slight vision for your split pusher in Gwen.
Yeah, please use it.
Yeah. that bot side map was looking pretty dark for a while.
It would go a long way because there were multiple times they have full vision of the top side of the map so deep into the blue side jungle and they couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Where ultimately, if no kills arrive and if that mid play doesn't happen, you can just start up Baron, your Gwen's already like hitting inner, like those are the kind of plays you want to see, so I think that's easy to fix.
Well, we said it was an open field for mid laners in the LCS this split, and we put the onus on Palafox to step up and show us what he's got for us today. We're going to get a word from him in just a minute, hopefully, with the Verizon post-game interview. Before we get there, one of the other questions I posed to you guys at the top of the day was around the CLG roster and who will become the star. Luger was one of the people that we called out. I do know the Twitch chat has now begun to affectionately spam Clutch Luger Gaming.
Oh, I like
that.
that.
The new
Nice.
brand? Is this the new brand for
Okay.
CLG?
I think so.
I like it.
I like it, right?
Yeah.
And so here's the thing I will say too is that for a long time, maybe unfortunately, part of the identity of being a CLG fan was living in the disappointment.
Despair.
Right? And hey, maybe the mark of the new era, right, is that kind of that full rework of the roster, fresh faces, and people getting excited about the young guns who are out there performing for them.
And what I will say is they obviously believe in Luger to be able to carry, because as soon as he hit that Infinity Edge, they changed the whole game plan around how this game was going to go. So I think that not only are fans starting to believe in him, obviously his teammates believe in him as well, and they're playing a very cohesive style around that.
This is a pretty easy game, at least from the perspective of being able to play through Luger, because you do have the Twisted Fate. When they don't have that, I want to see what the team dynamic is going to be. I mean, Jenkins, when he was on Team Liquid's main team, was like just a standard weak side player, so I expect that to be the case.
What I will say is Jenkins loves to be left alone and then can do damage in the late game. However, this game, once again, if I'm going to be a little bit critical of someone on CLG, I felt like the Gwen probably didn't do enough for me, given the fact that he was like 80 CS up. Ultimately, they did win the game through his split push, but I think it could have come a little bit earlier.
All right, Coach Spawn showing through just a little bit there. Couldn't let it go with all positive notes. He's got to come in and teach somebody something.
I like
Gotta love it. All right, we're going to a break. When we come back, we're diving into one of the big ticket matchups of the day. It's going to be Cloud9 up against 100 Thieves. We'll catch you right back here in just a bit.
What's going on?
Jake from State Farm, the perp just confessed. I think. I don't know.
What?
Oh, can't afford streaming anymore, so here we are.
Oh, don't give up what you love. State Farm has options to personalize your policy so you get a rate that fits your budget.
Oh, that's great. The subtitles would be nice.
For surprisingly great rates that fit any budget, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
星に瞬きを伝えて守るものがあるからきっと強く